never felt fatigue like that in my entire life. Like, I remember I tried to jump rope one day and I was like, oh, no, that's not happening. I did have some food aversions and some cravings. I'm not worrying about the scale right now. I'm not worrying about stretch marks and this and that. Like, my body's doing what it needs to do. There's just so much noise, and I feel like the hardest part is just blocking out the noise. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Keisha if you're new here, and thank you for clicking on today's video. So today's video is going to be my first trimester recap, and this is way overdue because I am already halfway through my second trimester right now when I'm sitting here and filming this. I'm 23 weeks today, actually. You guys want a little update? We're pregnant right now. But I have been meaning to sit down and film this video for so long, and I just haven't gotten around to it. I don't know why, I just didn't feel like it, honestly. But I want to start sharing some more things kind of like second trimester related. So I wanted to get this up first so we can kind of close the chapter of the first trimester and then start sharing more things in the second trimester. If you guys are new here, I did an entire first trimester vlog. So if you guys have not seen that, I'll have it linked up here. I just picked up the camera throughout the entire first trimester and vlogged appointments, thoughts, symptoms, just everything. So if you guys want to see more of like a vlog style video, then definitely check that one out. But yeah, I thought this would be fun to share and also for me to look back on and just kind of like remember what my first pregnancy was like. So that is what this video is going to be. If you guys like pregnancy content, there is a lot more to come. So make sure that you're subscribed. Okay, so finding out I was pregnant. So we had tried for 3 cycles total. And again, I did do a whole like finding out I'm pregnant video where I shared the whole journey. I'll also have that linked up here if you guys want to check that out. So November 2024, it was our first month trying, and I for sure thought I was pregnant. I was having so many random symptoms. Again, I'm not gonna go too much into that, but took a million tests, was not pregnant. Think maybe I had a chemical pregnancy, never got it confirmed, I don't know. Then December, took a test, and I only took 2, negative. And then January, I took a test, 8 DPO, and that was negative. And then I took a test, 10 DPO, and that was positive. So I knew we were trying, I was tracking, I was using like the like ovulation tests and like tracking in an app, and I was taking my temperature in the morning. Like when I commit to something, I really commit. So I was like, the second I was like, let's try to conceive, I was immediately tracking everything. We did that. And then on 10 DPO, I got my positive test. And I didn't really have many symptoms. So I did not think it was gonna be positive, because back from like November when I thought I was, like my boobs were, like my nipples were burning, my boobs hurt so bad. I had heartburn, which I don't think I've ever even had heartburn. Like I was just having all these symptoms. So come January, when I took my test on 10 DPO, we were watching 90 Day Fiance, and I started having some heartburn. And I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like the only other time I've ever had heartburn is when I thought I was pregnant in November. So that kind of prompted me to take the test, but I really didn't think I was gonna be positive because that was legit the only symptom I was having at the time. So I was shocked when I took the test and got that positive test result. But yeah, I know, like I was definitely testing pretty early, but I was happy to have gotten that result when I did. Do I recommend testing too early? No, but are people like me gonna do it anyway? Yes. So I never knew, it was one of those things, you never know how you're gonna react when you find out you're pregnant. And I just completely broke down, like just started hysterically crying, just ugly crying. Obviously the happiest tears, but just full ugly crying. So that's not, not how I envisioned myself reacting. I'm glad I recorded it though. It is nice to look back on, but yeah, it's like I just fully broke down. So emotional, just something I've always wanted from like a super young age. Like I thought I wanted like 7 kids, and I was like, I always wanted a big family, and I was always excited about being pregnant and having a bump. So just like seeing that positive test and knowing like that time is here was just like so just flooded and overwhelmed with emotions. And then I told Cody I wanted to think of like a fun, cute, creative way to tell him, but I didn't. I laid out a onesie with some pregnancy tests and this little ornament, and I told him immediately. I was like freaking out. I was like, I need to talk about this with somebody. Like, this is crazy. So I didn't have too many symptoms leading up to me finding out I was pregnant, but let's talk about some of the symptoms that I had while I was pregnant. And I'm not gonna lie, I feel like compared to other people I've seen, like I've talked to or I've seen on TikTok or YouTube, I do think I had a pretty easy first trimester. And even now in the second trimester, like I do feel like I'm having, knock on wood, I'm having a pretty smooth pregnancy experience, which grateful for that. But I did, like I had definitely had some symptoms in the first trimester, but compared to like some things I've seen, like I just feel like it could have been a lot worse. So I'm just like grateful that it wasn't as bad as it could have been. I think the worst part for me was the fatigue. Oh my God, I have never felt fatigue like that in my entire life. There were so many times I would just start crying because I was like, I am so tired of being tired. Just no energy. I had to nap. I was like, I'm so glad I work like 1099 jobs where I don't have to like be on a schedule or be like in an office or anything, because I don't know how people do it. Like if you have to do it, I am so sorry. I'm praying for you. That it was awful. Like I took like 2 to 3, sometimes even 4-hour naps every single day. I was in bed at like 7 p.m. every night. I would sleep until like 8 a.m. Like I was getting so much sleep and I was still like, it was just overwhelming exhaustion to the point where I was like, I literally can't do anything else. So that was definitely the worst, like the worst of the symptoms. Like once that wore off, I was like, I'm kind of good, I'm chilling. But that was awful. Like I'm scared thinking about having like a baby or like a toddler and then having to go through that again, where I can't just like sleep and lay down all day, where I actually have to like be taking care of another human. But you know, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I didn't really have nausea. I had no morning sickness. I did not throw up at all. Thank the Lord. Maybe a couple days during one week where I was getting like slightly nauseous. Like random things would kind of like make me feel like a little like, oof, or like certain smells kind of like triggered me a little bit, but I really like I didn't really have nausea and I didn't have any morning sickness. I did have some food aversions and some cravings. I would say mostly food aversions. Like there were so many things that I just never sounded good. Like nothing in the house ever sounded good. I would grocery shop and like the next day, everything we bought would be disgusting. Like I would open the fridge and smell it and that everything was disgusting to me. And I just like, for most of the first trimester, it was actually really hard to eat because I was still like really hungry because I wasn't sick or anything. So I'd be so hungry, but like nothing would sound good. And then when something did sound good, I was like, I need it immediately. Like, but it would switch up. Like I would say I would have like cravings or like fixations for like a week or 2 at a time. And then like I'd be off of them. Like there's some things that I ate in the first trimester that I like literally can't even get myself to eat now because I'm almost like, I don't know. But like things that I don't know, like I didn't have like, there wasn't anything that I craved the entire time to be like, these are the things I was craving. Yeah, I just kind of I would say more like short-term fixations. And then like after a few days or like a week, I would be so sick of it. And then I'd be on to the next thing. I would say definitely more aversions than there were cravings. My boobs would be super sore and my nipples would burn. And I've noticed more, sorry, the lighting changed, the sun just decided to come out. I've noticed more when I was cold, and even now, sometimes in the second trimester, when I'm cold, my nipples would burn. But the boob tenderness was definitely a thing. Like I remember I tried to jump rope one day and I was like, oh, no, that's not happening. Sometimes when I would like lay on my stomach, like my boobs would hurt. So that was definitely rough. I would say I definitely had a lot of bloating, which is funny because looking back now, like I was very clearly bloated. Like I knew there was like no bump at that point, but I was bloated and I was thinking like, oh my God, bumping. And now that I have like a full, a real bump, I'm like, oh, sweetie, just a little bloating. I definitely did have quite a bit of bloating pretty much the entire first trimester, but I didn't really have any headaches or anything. And then surprisingly, going back to cravings, I mostly wanted like savory foods, like salty, sour, as opposed to sweet, which normally I'm such a sweet tooth girl, which they say, you guys are new, I'm having a boy. I have my gender reveal linked up here. And they say that savory, salty, sour is like more like, oh, you're like old wives' tale for having a boy. So even now I'm like, I still like eat sweet things, but like I used to always be like, I need a sweet after every meal. Like I always wanted something sweet. And now I'm kind of like if I'm like craving something or if I'm like really like fixated on something, it's usually something that is like savory. I didn't really have any mood swings, which I really always thought I'd be a person to have like crazy mood swings, but I really didn't. I think I had one day where I actually had like a mood swing where I went from like fine to mad to just crying. And I'm not a crier at all. Like, even Cody was shook because I like legitimately never cry. So that was really interesting. But aside from that, like really didn't have any mood swings. I would say I had like a lot of first trimester anxiety, just worrying about everything, worrying about every appointment, and just always stressed that something could go wrong. I kept feeling it in my gut that everything was fine, and I was just trusting that my body was doing what it needed to do. But I did have a lot of anxiety in the first trimester, and I feel like I'm at a point now, like now I can feel him kicking stuff, like he kicks He moves so much. Oh my God, but I love it. So I feel like I haven't been super anxious about anything or like worrying about anything. I was worried about everything in the first trimester. But yeah, overall, I think I just felt like really excited. It was so hard to kind of like keep it inside and like try to vlog and post normally, but like not share it. Cause I had just gone through like a whole journey where I was like sharing everything with you guys. And then I was just like, I had to just keep it like quiet, and I wasn't posting as much because I was sleeping all the time and I was so tired. So yeah, I just kind of like didn't really feel like myself. I still did like a few workouts here and there, but it was just really hard to like be in a routine and like feel like my best self. But you know, we survived it. Overall, like I said, I thought it was gonna be a lot worse. Like if the fatigue wasn't part of it, or if it wasn't as bad, I would have been chilling. That was genuinely the worst part. But aside from that, I really feel like it wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be. Okay, so let's talk about doctor's appointments and ultrasounds. So immediately when I found out I was pregnant, I scheduled my first prenatal appointment. I called a doula and I got set up with a doula. So I'm really excited to have a doula, just have somebody that I created my like birth preferences with, and have someone that's gonna be with there advocating for me during the birth process. So I was really excited about that. And then obviously I called to set up my first prenatal appointment. I found out I was pregnant at 3 weeks and 4 days. And then I had my first appointment around 7 weeks. That time from 3 weeks to 7 weeks felt like forever. And again, as somebody who's so worried about everything, I was just like so stressed out. I was taking tests like for 2 weeks just to see the positive. I was going and getting my blood drawn to check my HCG levels. Like I was just like, how do you know everything's fine if you're not going to an appointment? So like at least checking the blood levels. I had one day where it kind of almost stressed me out because the nut levels were like, they didn't rise as much as I thought they should have, but it all ended up being fine. I was just like freaking out for no reason. But yeah, I had my first appointment around in the 7-week range. And I was really disappointed because I got there, well, I had put in my notes, like just whatever, like initial appointment, ultrasound, whatever. And they called me like an hour before my appointment and were like, oh, just so you know, like we just saw your note. We actually don't do ultrasounds in the office. Like we do those at like a third-party site. And so I was devastated. So I'm like, I've already been waiting a month. And then I was like, well, how long does it normally take people to get like an appointment? And they're like, oh, around like 30 days. So I was like, I've already waited a month and now I have to wait a whole another month to get an ultrasound. So I was so mad. I almost canceled that for like a first appointment. I was so freaking upset, but we ended up going. Everything was fine. I just kind of had like a sour mood the whole time. Like I was just like sad. And then luckily somehow there ended up being like a cancellation at one of the ultrasound places. So for the next morning. So we were able to go the next morning and go get an ultrasound. Got our first ultrasound. It was interesting because he just kind of looked like nothing, like just like a little, like, I don't know, like a little finger. My mother-in-law said he looked like a little potato. Like it just like, we were just like, oh, like it was so cool to see something, but it didn't look like a baby. So it was just kind of like, okay. But just seeing the baby, just seeing something in there and seeing that they're like, it's like measuring where it should be based on your like day of your last week's period and all this stuff was just like a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. I ended up having like a pretty big ovarian cyst. So they ended up getting me in for another ultrasound like a month later because they just wanted to measure the cyst. But then they were like, well, at least you'll get to see the baby again. So I was like, who am I to complain about that? And then just seeing the change from 7 weeks to 11 weeks was crazy. How fast they grow is just, it's crazy. Like the fact that 1 week they're like a bunch of cells and like 2 months later they're looking like a baby. It's actually so freaking crazy. So just kind of seeing like what a month difference was, I was like, wow. I went to one more ultrasound like the next week. So it was week 11, and then around week 12, I went to another one because I wanted to get some photos for our like announcement photos. And again, even just like 11 to 12, I was like, wow, he's just like, just getting so big. But yeah, it was nice to be able to like see him, being able to see the heartbeat, like the little heart pitter patter, and being able to hear it for the first time. I was just like, wow. I did buy a home Doppler, so I do listen to the heartbeat every now and again. But yeah, it's just incredible. The woman's body is just so fucking incredible. It's crazy. We did do our NIPT testing, and then we did find out through that we're having a boy. Everything from that came back looking good. And then spoiler alert, when we went to our anatomy scan, they did confirm that it was a boy. We got a very clear shot of his area, so it's definitely a boy. But I did opt to do the NIPT testing, which insurance doesn't cover, and it cost me $650, so love that. But it was so worth it just to have like that, also just like another layer, like peace of mind that like things are looking good. Okay, so let's talk about lifestyle adjustments. Obviously the first trimester, I wanted to be the person that was like, I'm gonna keep working out and I'm gonna be eating good and feed my baby only like nutrients and everything that they need and blah, blah, blah. That didn't really happen. I would say maybe for like 2 weeks after I found out I was pregnant, I was still like working out and I was still eating pretty well. And then once the fatigue really started hitting and the food aversion started hitting, yeah, it just didn't really happen. I was maybe working out like once, twice a week max, and like the workouts weren't even that good. The most I was still doing was at least walking the dogs every day. So that kind of like at least kept me somewhat active. Now I'm back in a place where I'm working out more frequently, but yeah, the workouts weren't happening. I was so tired, and then eating healthy was out the window. The thought of a salad, disgusting. The only like healthy-ish thing that sounded good was fruit, and that's still been amazing. And loving fruit. But aside from that, like I said, it was like whenever my aversions died down and like I wanted something, I was eating it. Like I was door dashing like barbecue at like 9 p.m. Like I've seen people say like the first trimester is about like survival, and that's how I felt. I was like, I just need to eat, keep myself alive. I was trying to be good about at least drinking my water and trying to eat vegetables when I can, but yeah, it was just survival mode. I was like, I just gotta get through this. So wasn't really sticking too much to like a plan at the time, but I was at least making sure I took my like prenatals and my vitamins and stuff every day. So that was the best that I could do for my body at the time. I did like a video where I kind of like talked a little bit about like the experience of being pregnant after losing weight and being on a semaglutide journey. I'll have that video linked up here. But yeah, I think it was definitely like a little bit of a mental adjustment to go from like losing 30 pounds to now gaining weight for pregnancy. So, but like, if you guys have followed my semaglutide journey video, one of the main reasons I did that was to get myself in a better physical state to be able to be pregnant, and also a better mental state to be able to be pregnant. So I am still really glad that I ended up doing that. But yeah, it was definitely like a little bit of a mental shift, but not as bad as I thought. Like I said, I've always loved the idea of having a baby bump and growing a baby and like being pregnant and being a mom. So I feel like since that was something I've always like really wanted, my changing body right now with my stomach growing and the weight gain and stuff, like I'm not worried about it. Like I'm definitely gaining weight, but my doctor keeps telling me that I'm gaining like a good amount of weight. It's like a healthy amount, even though sometimes I'm like, this seems kind of high, no? But like everything looks great. So I'm like, if y'all think it looks great, I look great. Like I'm growing a baby. I'm not worrying about the scale right now. I'm not worrying about stretch marks and this and that. Like my body's doing what it needs to do. I'm doing the best I can with still working out when I can, walking, overall trying to eat pretty balanced. So I'm not really stressing too much about like my body. I'm like, it's gonna do what's gonna do. Postpartum is gonna look how it's gonna look. And then, you know, once we get the clear to work out again, we'll try to get back into it. But right now, like I said, I'm just letting my body do what it needs to do. And I just love having a pup. I love it so much. So my routines overall have definitely changed. Like I said, I kind of work out. I was working out like 5-6 times a week before. Now I'm kind of at like 4 times a week. But like I said, I do still walk every day. So now I'm kind of working out about 4 times a week. I would say work habits have definitely changed. I definitely, if you guys watch my video, like I'm like a work, grind. Like apartment locating is what I do for work in like the real estate world. The first trimester, I would say I didn't work like at all. Like I had already taken, like I usually take kind of like the fall and winter, like sort of off. Like I don't really do that much. And then usually in January, like usually like September through December, I kind of like take it easy and then I get back into it in January. But I like January and February, I barely did anything because that first trimester was killing me. So once we got back into March, I started getting a little more energy. So from March even through now, I'm like still working, but I'm not grinding like I was. I told myself I was gonna get back into the grind and we're gonna do all this until the baby comes, and I just haven't felt like it. Like I've still been doing a good amount. I have like a minimum goal that I wanna hit each month in commission, but I just like haven't been dying for the grind. So I've just been kind of letting myself just like, again, hit your minimum. If you make more than that, great. And if not, at least you hit the minimum. I feel like the hardest part, like I said, I fell off with YouTube because I was just so tired, and then getting out of the habit of it and just kind of switching from like, I just kind of was in a space where I was like, I don't even know what to post anymore. Like, I don't know what to share. So I feel like work-wise and content creation-wise and things kind of have fallen off a bit, but like we're just trying to get through it. So let's talk about some like must-have products and habits that I had throughout the first trimester. Obviously there wasn't like too much going on where I needed anything crazy. I think the biggest thing was getting a pregnancy pillow. Cody got it for me for Valentine's Day and I'm obsessed with that thing. I sleep with it all the time. I was having, oh, that's another symptom I didn't meant to bring it up earlier, but I was having a lot of lower back pain, and even now, like I have a lot of back pain, but that pregnancy pillow definitely helps, and it's just like been so nice to sleep with that. So I got that in the first trimester. Obviously the bumps wasn't really there, so it wasn't like 100% necessary, but I feel like it did definitely help me sleep, and it was so comfortable. So definitely recommend a pregnancy pillow. I'll have the one that I have linked down below. You guys probably seen it all over TikTok and stuff, so you've probably seen it a million times, but I love it. Another big thing is just comfy clothes. I love like sets like this. I got this on Amazon. Again, I'll link this down below. Super comfy and flowy, especially if you're like me and you're gonna be in the second half of your second trimester and in the third trimester through the summer. I just want like clothes that are like breathable and just comfy. So I'm doing sets. I found some jumpsuits that are easy to get on and off, and a lot of dresses. Like dresses have been my best friend. I actually need to look for some more now that I've been growing out of a lot of things. I'm starting to run out of things to wear again. I feel like that's been like the hardest part of pregnancy, is trying to figure out what to wear. But yeah, I was just wearing a lot of like super comfy clothes. Again, even in the first trimester when you don't really have like a big bump, I was still just super bloated. And then by the end of the first trimester, I feel like I was maybe starting to get a little bit of a bump. So I was really definitely like going more towards some like super comfy options. There is an app that I like, or a website. I will link it, but it was really, really helpful when it came to looking into products for like skincare and body care and things like that. Cause I'm like, I didn't even realize there were so many skincare products that like aren't recommended to use like certain ingredients when you're pregnant. So this one website has like every brand you can think of, and I was able, there's only a couple things that I used that it said that I shouldn't use for pregnancy or pregnancy and breastfeeding. So that has been really, really, really helpful when it comes to kind of like figuring out what I already have that I kind of can't use. And then if I want to buy new products, I just go on there really quick and just like kind of double check and just make sure that it is pregnancy safe. That has been so helpful. And then kind of going off of apps, a couple other apps that I love. I would say my favorite one is the What to Expect app. So like you can see right now, I'm second trimester, baby's the size of a carrot. I really like it because you can go like through all of the weeks. Like we love doing this every week where we hit the new week, we see what the size the baby is, how much he's probably weighing, how long he is. And then they have a video for every week too. That's like a quick little like 1.5-minute video that me and Cody will just watch together and just kind of give you like a rundown of what's new that week. So I really love that. The other app that I really like is called Wee Moms. So I also really like that. This is just a fun one because you can kind of see what the baby's looking like in the womb. It's kind of like a virtual like 4D thing. The ads on this one are really, really annoying, but that's really cool because you can kind of like scroll through and kind of see what the baby's looking like. So I love that app. One more app that I've been loving is Peanut. So it's kind of like a mix between like discussion forums, and they also have like a Bumble BFF component where you can like swipe through and meet other people who either have kids or are pregnant and things like that. So I did end up meeting one girl in person that I met on that app that has a daughter who's like 1. And then I met another girl who actually lives really close to me, which is really nice. And she's like 3 weeks behind me in pregnancy. So we've hung out twice now. So it's just like a cool way to just kind of meet other people. I don't have any mom friends here, so it was nice to meet like other people that are in a similar stage in life. And I definitely need to swipe through more because I would like to meet more people, especially that are pregnant and like gonna have babies around the same time as me. Like I think that'd be so fun. So that's another really good app. And then there's just like discussion forums where there's just like different categories and people ask questions and give advice and things like that. So it's just kind of fun to just like go through sometimes. So those are a few apps that I've been loving. I don't think there's any other products in the first trimester that I really liked. I don't think so. Something I did love doing was I got a diary. I've gone on and off years where I would like journal and stuff, but like I never stuck to it. But when I got pregnant, I was like, I just want to document how I'm feeling, because I was having so much anxiety and so many emotions. I just wanted somewhere to write it down, like write everything down in. And I haven't been the best at keeping up with it. So I'm trying to like at least once a week write in there. And then I also want to keep it for after he's born and just like through the whole postpartum journey. So then just like kind of like, I just have like documentation from like the moment I find out I'm pregnant all the way through like postpartum until whenever, till I fill it up. And it just like has the whole journey in there. So that was really helpful. I literally got like a cheap journal on Amazon for like $8. And I was really liking that. Like it was just like a nice way to just like put down how I was feeling. And then it's gonna be nice to look back on it one day and be like, wow, you were freaking out about this and that and this and that. And like, everything was fine. And then let's talk about sharing the news. So like I said, I ended up obviously telling Cody immediately, my husband. And then I literally texted my best friend and I was like, we need a FaceTime in the morning. And then I texted my other good friend and I was like, hey, do you wanna get dinner tomorrow night? Cause I was like, I need to tell people. I knew I didn't want to tell a lot of people, but like one, they both knew we were trying anyway. And then two, like I talked to them both like literally every single day. So I was like, there's just no way I'm not gonna tell them. Props to anyone that can keep it a secret from everyone. For the entire first trimester, I could not. I had to tell somebody, so I told them. And then I also texted my friend, my social media friend Shy, the next morning and sent her a picture of the test. Cause I was like, she had a baby last year and we had already like, I just like needed someone to talk about it with, especially somebody who already has a baby so they can kind of like relate a little bit. So those are the few people I told. And then once we had our first ultrasound at 7 weeks, I told my mom, and then we told Cody's mom and his stepdad. We told them. That's all. Like I have a whole telling friends and family video. So we told them, and then we didn't really, kind of like throughout the rest of the first trimester, like here and there if it came up, I would just kind of tell people. But then we shared it once we got out of the first trimester, like pretty much right at the end of the first trimester or right in the beginning of the second trimester, shared it publicly. And it was received so well. Like everyone, I was just so happy to be able to share that like pregnancy, like finding out I'm pregnant and sharing the photos and doing all of that. Like everyone was so sweet. So it was something I was really nervous to share on YouTube specifically because I had just, again, done this whole like 30-pound weight loss journey and now I'm pregnant. So it's like people who came and subscribed for that content, now like my content's kind of shifting. So it's kind of scary that like I gained all these new subscribers from that journey and nobody was gonna care. But seeing people comment being like, I came from the semaglutide, but I'm staying because your personality, or like I came from that, but like I'm on it too and I would like to get pregnant when I'm off of it, or just things like that. It was just nice seeing people who had like subscribed from that journey but are like, we're still gonna be here for this journey as well. So that was a big relief. I was actually really scared about that. Like everybody was just gonna go ahead and unsubscribe. And I know I definitely lost some subscribers, but I've also gained a bunch from the pregnancy stuff so far. So it is what it is. This is just a lifestyle channel. I'm just sharing my life and what's going on. So, I mean, that's just what I got going on. That's just the new chapter of life I'm in. So, but yeah, overall it was received really well and I was so grateful for that. And then a little bit of advice for anybody that is in the first trimester is don't, there's a few things that I did that like, I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't do again because I probably would, but like I wouldn't recommend it, you know. Testing too early, don't do it. Wait till you miss your period or at least until like the 14th day or something. Don't test too early. Don't like let yourself get your hopes up and like kind of like crush your feelings. Again, even when I tested at 8 DPO, I just randomly did it. Like I knew that was way too early, but I just randomly did it. And I was like disappointed to see a negative test. And then 2 days later, I got my positive. So don't test too much. Don't test too early. Don't test too frequently. Seriously, don't. I think if you're like me and you are kind of in that waiting game, I've seen some people, it's on TikTok, like in some of my comments, say that they didn't even get their first appointment until like they were at the end of their first trimester and the second trimester, which is ridiculous. So if you're somewhere where you literally can't get anywhere, I do think I went to like Quest Diagnostics. I think I paid like $40 each visit to get my blood drawn for my HCG levels. That did give me a lot of peace of mind. Again, aside from the 1 week where I noticed, like they say it's supposed to double every 48 hours and it didn't necessarily double, so I freaked out. There was a range and it said as long as it's like at least like I think 1.6 or 1.66 every 2 days or something was like the minimum. Like just make sure you're not just like basing it off. If you do anything like that, just make sure you do your full research first. Don't just base it off of just this one number because you'll be like me and freak out. But aside from that one time, I think I went 4 or 5 times total. And it gave me so much peace of mind just seeing the number steadily rise. So if you're not gonna be someone that's like too obsessed with it or like too like, you know, I would say it definitely did give me some peace of mind, but I can definitely see where it could also add a little bit of anxiety. Another thing, tell people whenever you're ready. I saw a lot of people on TikTok where they would post that like that there were 8 weeks and they would make an announcement. People were like, what? You're posting before the second trimester? Or like, oh my God, you're posting the first trimester? And it's like, it's not up to you when people post. That's a big thing that I'm learning in this pregnancy is just don't take anything anybody has to say into consideration unless it's somebody that you're like genuinely would take advice from or want advice from. It's just like there's just so much noise And I feel like the hardest part is just blocking out the noise. So do the best you can to block out the noise. It's obviously a hard thing sometimes, but just block out the noise. Everybody has an opinion on everything. And most of the time the people have the opinions are people that you don't want opinions from. But tell people when you're ready. If you wanna wait until the second trimester, if you don't wanna tell anybody until the baby's born, do that. If you wanna tell people and make an announcement immediately, do that. I've seen people say like, I want people to celebrate this baby, whether, you know, it comes to full term or if I miscarry, like I want this baby to be celebrated, or like, I wanted to tell people because like if I, you know, something did go wrong, I would want people to be there in my corner and to like support me rather than like me just like being alone and nobody knew what, like nobody knows what I'm going through. So do everything at your own pace. And again, take that advice through a whole pregnancy is just do what you want to do. Do your research, figure it out, trust your intuition, trust your body. Just do what you want to do. Everyone's gonna have, again, everyone's so opinionated. Everybody has different opinions. And you just need to do what you feel like is best for you. But yeah, I think that's it for this first trimester recap. So like I said, if you guys are interested in more pregnancy content, I'm going to be sharing, we're just starting the nursery. So gonna have some fun pregnancy videos to come. So if you guys are interested in that type of content, we have a lot of videos to come. But yeah, I think that is all I have for this video. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all the things, and I will see you guys again in another video. All right, bye guys.
Oh, I can't let him take my soul. Nah, 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 no. I can't let him take my soul.